Hello everyone and welcome to Empowering the Conscious Business Evolution Talk with me, Antonina Manev, for some fresh, thought-provoking and liberating conversations about inspiring the sparks of innovation and evolution and growing a bigger and a wider world of ethically successful and consciously evolving business environment. For those who tune in for the first time, I'm the founder of Visions Inspire Strategic Business Growth Consultancy. As a business strategist, my focus is on turning visions into profitable businesses, be it for startups or established businesses. So in my area of work, evolving the business consciousness is a key element. You can find out more about my inspiring work by visiting the website www.visionsinspire.com. You can also subscribe to my YouTube channel or like my Facebook page or connect on LinkedIn with me. Business owners work with me, looking to increase usually their business cash flow and profits and create a secure financial future so they fully enjoy a greater lifestyle and balance. However, along the way, the main obstacle appears to be the uncomfortable mindset of conformity, which accepts limitations in business making and development, or even growing in order to fit in an old custom conventional framework of business making that holds them back, and all that at the expense of their true identity. But how we even start to break up these frames? Well, we'll have to try. In my interviews, video or audio, I will be introducing you to exceptional business leaders, owners, and creators who have reached great success in what they do, not because they worked hard to fit in, but by challenging the status quo and constantly innovating themselves and their businesses, by searching back to their authentic roots to follow the person-business environment connection, and by taking approaches of consciously evolving to align with a higher social and earth value through their creativity, identity, and co-creative forward thinking. So be prepared, all my guests have left valuable tips and inspirational words of wisdom for you to take and do your best to outshine the conventional and grow yourself and business aligned with higher values. All their interviews are playing on the Visions Inspire YouTube podcast channel. Happy listening and happy learning and growing. In my previous show, I had the honor of speaking with Helen Guinness, a great mind of wisdom transforming lives and work cultures worldwide, who gave us these 3 lessons. Always stay curious. Worship failure. Worship mistakes. Following the show, I had many comments and messages from listeners inspired by our conversation to embrace and make room for consciously innovating and evolving their businesses. Today, my guest comes all the way from Scotland. International influencer, performance expert, Olympian trainer, transformer of businesses, exceptionally inspiring motivator, who worked with the BBC, government, world-famous business leaders and stars. It is my honor to welcome you, Sheena Walker. I'm so excited to have you here today and share with our listeners some inspirational and motivational thoughts that can help them to be more aware of their power to consciously evolve their selves and their businesses. Welcome, Sheena.
Thank you. It's lovely to speak to you on a sort of bright sunny morning in Scotland.
Oh gosh, it is quite sunny here today as well. Oh gosh, Sheena, I'm really excited having you at the Empowering the Conscious Business Evolution show today. You have so much to tell us about you, how you started, why you're doing what you're doing, what excites you.
What excites me? Well, I'll tell you what doesn't excite me as a man, but what does excite me is watching sport, because my background is in as an athlete and a national coach and going to the Olympics. So I've got a sports brain, and I guess that excites me because I can take my methodology of sport into my experience in the business world, which then gives different results to the people I work with. It's quite a unique way to have a distinction in business by having that planning and training of an athlete and the grit and determination of an athlete, that mental preparedness that an athlete would have before he would go on the track or swim. And that's what excites me. Yes, it does. It excites me. Ready to go on the track.
So tell us more about you. Where you live at the moment. Tell us about your business and.
Okay, so right now I live in Bridge of Allen. It's a small town just outside Stirling, in between Glasgow and Edinburgh, but about 50 miles from these cities. And I've lived here now for more than 20 years. And I think my inspiration comes from living in an area of nature, adventure, and being able to go out and I've got a little shed in the garden. It's now called Sheena's Speaker's Brain Shed. and I go there regularly to create. But part of my business has been I've got an HR background, a training and development, and an organisational change background. And I've had many roles, sometimes separately, sometimes together. But having an HR role, having an operations manager, a business manager, all of which have given me, looking back and being very reflective, an amazing experience and knowledge of business acumen. And having spent 10 years in the corporate world, looking at how corporate people work and think. So right now I've taken all of my sporting background and linked with my degree in international business and created programs that fit in with how I can get results almost immediately. That I guess is the unique part of what I do, is that an athlete getting coaching today wouldn't continue till Christmas doing what he thought was okay if his coach told him it wasn't. So I believe my philosophy of feedback in the whole of my business and working much quicker and slicker and more effective. I guess that if I was using a phrase, it's an extraordinary way to think of mastery in your business.
Yeah, it is quite true. Doing business as an Olympian, I like this, and it is the mindset of the Olympian way, the way they think is applicable to any business, because running your own business is you have to be so disciplined, and yet give a freedom to feel good about yourself and relax in it in a way, isn't it?
Yes, I think that Olympian strategies is quite different from just working in business. I think that yes, you're quite right when you say it's about a mindset shift. That shift has to be, the person has to be open. And I think that I have a system of where I will present to a company for 30 minutes and then look at how I can help them with training, then look at what could a mentoring program do in 3 or 6 months or in a year. And it's that systematic way of working that athletes work. An athlete would never just randomly go and do something. They always have a plan. And I think that sometimes working in the corporate world and working in the business world is much harder than being an athlete. It's much, much harder.
You think so? Really? Yeah. You think so?
Yes, I think because they don't have the systems or the processes in place that an athlete would have in place. An athlete knows in his schedule when he trains, when he has quality recovery time, when he goes to the gym. And he has a very clear just-in-time programme. When you speak in the business world, they have nothing like that. And so a lot of it is very reactive working, which is very inefficient.
Yeah, and this is the core of my service provision, because when I work with a business, the first look, my look as a strategist, is to look at the processes and the systems and the efficiency of those processes and systems. And you're absolutely right. 70% of the clients, they have no clear structure to follow, like processes. And I'm not speaking about just, the direct communication with the clients. I'm speaking about in a deeper level and different levels of the business. And I find that when I help them improve those processes and account for them as well, just like an Olympian or a sports person will look at their seconds or records or how fast they do things. The same is with the business. I do the key performing indicators, and this is how we show results and how we improve. But it is difficult, and as I said, 70% of businesses have no idea.
I ask myself, it's interesting because one of the things I do is teach self-mastery in coaching, and every day I ask myself, was I an expert yesterday? What did I do yesterday? Did I get a good result or did I not? Did I waste my time? And I think I never used to ask myself these questions, but now I do ask myself these questions. And I'm not sure if I've shared with you, because I know we've spoken before, but I do have the Ferrari in my house, and every morning I'm reminded of, when I look at the Ferrari for 5 minutes, I've got 5 P's that goes with the Ferrari. So it might be performance, it might be positioning, presence, prepared. All of that fits in with my Olympian. And every day, like tomorrow, Monday is performance day. How does Ferrari perform on any day? They don't have a day they think, well, I'll not do that today. Every day is a Ferrari day. Every day is a performance day. Every day is high level of how do you go from the pit lane to the fast track.
I like this.
And if you're in the pit lane, sometimes, companies right now stay in the pit lane, and they've got all these staff that marketing, social media and operations, finance, and they're in the pit lane and they're not quite sure how they can get back onto the fast track or back on track to have a solution to what they're doing. And I find that my Ferrari causes quite a bit of stir when my boys come in and their friends come in. Is your mum okay? Is your mum okay?
I like this. Can I just repeat this? I like that thought. Every day can be a Ferrari day if you choose it to be.
Yes. Every day. I think that what I do is because I'm a lover of Formula One and racing, having a sports background, I love all sport. I can't race. But when the first time I went to Milan, I went to Monza, to the track.
Yeah.
And it just, again, everywhere I go, my friends think, oh no, here's Sheena again with her performance. But immediately I could see what Ferrari was trying to do, and I saw all the people, and I just thought, wow, this is another way of thinking in performance. So I bought this little Ferrari, brought it back, and so every day I look at it and I think, okay, what's the presence then if we take another P? Does Ferrari have presence? Yes, it does. Why does it have presence? It's bright red. Is that presence? Yes, it is. What else is presence? Presence, when you transpose that into the business world, is how you show up, the gravitas. So I might have Wednesday's presence day, And I think, who am I working with today? Do I need to share presence with them? Do I need to share presence with myself? And as a speaker, because that's now become a much bigger part of my business, you need to have that gravitas, that eloquence, that grace to stand out as a speaker. So presence is the key word there. And so I would ask myself, do I look like I have presence today? How do I look? How do I walk? How do I think? How do I use my voice? And so these are really great aspects of presence.
I really like this analogy that you made with Ferrari and the power of Ferrari and transponding this onto yourself as a business or any business owner. I really like this because that immediately that transposition, it empowers you to be the powerful multi-horsepower Ferrari and to go out there. And in this way, a business owner, I see, or a business leader can identify themselves with their deeper inner identity and authenticity. And then only they become attractive or the magnets for other people to rub off in a way that empowerment and that presence, as you call it, to feel good. This is exactly what this show is about, empowering the conscious business evolution and bringing everything into alignment with our identity as values, if you like, and to feel inspired and empowered to do better forward-thinking business.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You're spot on. And I think that what I've also discovered, and reflective thoughts are great, is that business people right now, they've been challenged, they've not been in a good place. They don't want complicated 50 pages of business or 50 pages of marketing. But one of the things that I seem to be able to do very well is to visualize creativity and innovation quite easily. And I think that it's about taking, say, 30 years of business acumen and condensing it down into simple steps. And that's how I do it, I think. What have I learned that can be taken and be made more simple? One of the things the last time I was in Milan before lockdown was I saw one of the very famous drivers on the track walking around, and I said, "What you do? Oh, what you doing?" As me, I sometimes get into trouble for asking questions. By the way, I sometimes am in the wrong place.
I'll come back to your questions asking. I'll come back to that.
Get in the wrong place, get off the track, But one of the things that drivers do, and this is how using creativity, they go round the track, inch by inch, looking at the track, looking at where it bevels, looking if there's a small hole, no there shouldn't be. And I say, inch by inch, everything is cinch, if that's a word and it's not really English, but inch by inch, when you work with business people, they can manage that step-by-step process. But yard by yard, it's hard to actually implement something in your business.
So can you repeat this? Inch by inch
is cinch, meaning it's easy.
Yeah, inch by inch. I'm just writing it down. Is cinch. Yes, I know. Cinch. And yard by yard is hard.
Is hard. So I guess that when we look at something like Ferrari, I kind of take and start thinking a little bit bigger and think, how do you analyse your business? And to analyse your business, you need people like yourself to help people to do that. People can't analyse their business unless they're an expert, just the same as Ferrari can't drive the car unless they're an expert. So what does a company do with their analytical data? How do they use their analytical data and put it into a strategy? Then they put it into a plan. Then they put it into day-to-day operations.
Yeah. This is why people like you and me are so valuable to businesses that want to move a step forward and not stay in the old custom, because we are evolving as people, we are evolving as humanity in a way, and our environment is evolving. So
Yes.
it needs us to respond. So can I come back to your questions?
Not an awkward question now.
No. I was going to refer just to you always, because I follow your posts on LinkedIn, wonderful posts, so thought-provocative, but every time there is a list of questions. Everyone asks themselves those questions, sometimes we don't, but a reminder from you makes us wonder, oh my God, do I do that? So just your latest post, Sheena Walker asking on LinkedIn, how do you develop your brand? How do you look for new business opportunities? You see, the way you ask questions can be so light, can seem so light, but actually there is such a huge depth underneath. So considering what the business world has gone through over the past year and a half, nearly 2, and will continue probably, how do you find the current business climate?
Okay, so I think that's a brilliant question, because so many people are trying to just continue as before when they've picked up recently, and that doesn't work now. So what you have to be able to do is think, what first question you asked there, what is your brand? So if I said to you Ferrari, if I said to you Apple, if I said to you McDonald's, we all know what they do. And Apple used to have a very brilliant tagline, buy a Mac and don't look back. How brilliant is that? Meaning, buy it and don't look back to what you've been doing. This is the Mac, and this is an invention, it's creative. Use us and be the best you can be. So I think it's important right now, and everybody's using a word called an entrepreneur. And I think it's great, but you need to understand what that means. So if I was asking your listeners, what does being an entrepreneur mean in your brand? And what that means in less than 10 words is, an entrepreneur is someone that takes an idea and makes it commercially viable. And that's what people need to do looking at a new brand. Is my idea commercially viable? If the answer's no, then you need to go back to the drawing board and think, what can I do in the current climate that needs me to provide a service? So that you'd think about your brand in that way. And then you've got to look at, what is your brand identity and your profile? So yes. That's, and that needs to be that you need to be able to say who you are, this is really key for the listeners. What do you specialise in? And if you can't figure that out, you need to go back to the drawing board as well. So what do you specialise in? What results do you get for the people that you might work for? So, entrepreneur, what do you specialise in? What results do you get is part of building your identity and your profile. So did you want me to expand on any of that, or is that okay?
I think this is perfectly okay. We might need to come back to it. What is it that you notice has changed in a way in the current business climate? Do you notice more and more new businesses springing up, looking for their identity?
Yes.
Or do you see lots of businesses springing up, replicating the old custom models of business?
Yes, you're absolutely spot on there. That's what I see. I see 2 types of people that's entered the market in the last year and a half. I see, forgive me, self-proclaimed experts who think it might be a nice thing to do to be a coach. It might be a nice thing to do to work in business.
Yeah, and so I've come across that. Yeah, and my clients have suffered from a lot of experts like that.
But the other thing is that without a shadow of a doubt, the people that are looking to diversify look at another area of business need help to do that too, and they find that they struggle. I was working with someone, I've worked with people in the accountancy, bookkeeping, financial area, and partly because of where they found themselves, but partly because they wanted to do something different. And so what we did there was, you have to take your current knowledge. So if it's finance, let's look at what you can do with finance. Where is there a gap? The gap in finances that people find profit and loss, balance sheets, cash flow, not just how to do it, but how to record it. And then the fourth thing from that would be able to look at what is seasonal trends in your business. If you've got staff, you need to have staff in the right place at the right time. So seasonal trends is really important. So I've found that people, once you explain how they can take their expertise into a different direction, I think that that's absolutely imperative in your brand. I think that if I continue from that, is that I asked myself a question a few weeks ago, is that what is it that makes people a high achiever when they're transposing their business? What makes them stay average, normal, great, or veer towards world class? And what separates these people? And I guess that what that led me to was some work I did a few years ago, was that my obsession and addiction, as these are words I may use, led me to researching sports people and business people and ask the question, do world-class people have similar skills, similar traits, and operate in the same way? And the answer is yes, they do.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And this is not uniformal. I mean, a brilliant person, craziness, actually distinguish them from the rest in a good way, because they arrive at different ways of visualization, if you like, or the different ways they approach things. Even a dyslexic person, you may see, oh, that's a write-off, he's dyslexic or she's dyslexic. Actually, they have a different perspective of looking at things and finding different solutions, better solutions. So I think, I take it also, I agree with you. There is discipline, there is the process, there is all this. That different spectrum of the neurons in a certain person's brain predetermines their distinguishedness from the rest in a way, and how they apply it, and how they are guided to apply it as well. But I do agree with you. There is a greater awareness now springing up among businesses to ask more questions. How do I do that? And of course, there is the other part who is still struggling and not brave enough to speak up or ask for help, reach out.
I think you're absolutely right, and I think what I see and observe is that people who are quite skilled and talented, and they've got it all in their head. So what I do and what we're doing is, how do we help people to package their knowledge, skills and expertise in a different way? And I have 4 areas that I see as essentials in business, and if I may share them with you.
Yes, please. Do.
The 4 areas that I aim for in my first discovery shaping call is, are you an expert? And what are you an expert in? And then we need to develop that. The second thing is, how can you get the competitive edge and lead the field? Are you doing in your business services that's making you lead the field? I call it being an edger. So it's positioning, the competitive edge. But more importantly, the third thing is, are you the go-to person? Are you the person that people think of when they're challenged and they need help? Do they think, I'll go to Antino, I'll go to Sheena? And if that's not the case, then what do I need to do to make them more visible? And the fourth thing is, are you the go-to company? Because you may have a company, a small one, a startup. These 4 areas need to be answered to achieve key results and get big ideas to actually move yourself forward. And I call that mastery with a difference. And the thing that brings these 4 areas together is having a conceptual model. Now, you might call that a blueprint, a signature model. Only 1% of people in business have a signature model attached to their business, and the other 99% do things the long way. And having a signature model in your business, like my corporate Olympian, is what you introduce yourself as, what you speak about, what you present on, and what you give results on. And being able to have influential communication is how you would deliver your conceptual model.
Thank you. Can I just ask you, again, for the listeners, to repeat the 4 stages of the mastery of the difference?
So the very first, there's 2 lots of 4 steps. The 4 that I gave you is the results. What I would be looking for is, are they positioned, is who I'm speaking, are they positioned as an expert? Do they have the competitive edge? Do they lead the field? And are they the go-to person in company? Are they an employer of choice, basically? And if you can answer these 4 questions, then you can start to develop your business. And the development part is the speaking part of our system, is being able to speak about your expertise.
Yes.
Being able to speak about what your signature model is. Being able to be consistent in social media, in marketing, and all of that with your model. And being able to actually deliver all of that through having somebody like yourself as a mentor to guide you through all the different stages. So to get to the first 4, you need to do the second 4. Is that as explained? Is that?
That's brilliant. The reason why I asked you to repeat it, so that the listeners can hear it again and maybe take notes. And if they want to come to you, how would contact you?
Well, if they have a question, I mean, on my website, this is the long way probably. On my website, you can have invest in a discovery call. The discovery call, when I say invest, it isn't invest, it's only your time. And I would chat to you about where you are now and how I might be able to help you to look at a different language, a different way of thinking, and a different way of looking for results, so that you can champion what you're doing in your business. Also, they can direct message me on LinkedIn, and that's quite easy. They can ask me a question.
So they can just go to LinkedIn, if they're connected on LinkedIn, and just type in Sheena Walker, Olympian speaker.
Yes, and they can ask me. I have a day now that I think it might be Thursdays, I ask Sheena a question. But I'm happy to answer questions every day, because I think when there's a new way of being and a new way of thinking, of course you're going to have questions when you've not been in the habit of working in that way. It's a different way of thinking. I call it thinking into design. It's thinking into redesigning your brain and redesigning what you do. And I said to somebody yesterday, one of my boys was saying, you can't, it was yesterday. I don't think you can say that, Mum. It's not politically correct. And I went, oops. but I'll say it. And then the readers might laugh or not. When I go for a Chinese, which I do love, I've got a menu in front of me with 50 different services. When you work in thinking into design, don't have any more than 3 or 4. So we don't want a restaurant menu. We want something that's, I call it one idea, one direction to get one result. Model it and do it again with something else. model it, and do it again. And that way of thinking means that you start to produce mastery with a difference, innovation with a difference. And you start to give the people and the business that you're in that winning edge because you're doing things differently from somebody else that might have the same title.
I like this so much because this is so in tune with the theme of the show, empowering the conscious business evolution, and in tune with what I achieve with my clients and what I get them to work on. And can I repeat what you just said? One idea, one direction, one result.
Yes.
That's brilliant.
That's a concept that I did with people in the financial sector because they have lots of different things they do. So if you had one idea was, how can I teach? So this is an example. How can I share how to do a profit and loss? So from profit and loss, there might be 2 or 3 stages in there that you have to think about. So that one direction would be profit and loss coaching, but you might have 1, 2 or 3 little one-page modules in there that can help people be more focused, to clarify what they want to teach or coach the business person in. So once you've done one area and you think, that worked really well, but I think I need to look at a different way to explain it. I don't think I explained it. So when you do your next one, which might be the balance sheet, you think, I need to put a story into the balance sheet. And I find that that's what I have found works really well, is putting a story in to explain something, and then they think, oh, like I've got a photograph that looks like I'm on the top of Kilimanjaro, and I use that as be a mountain person, and your balance sheet is a little bit like that. It's be that mountain person. Look at your balance sheet. What's there? What's missing? What one direction can you take in your balance sheet that would make a difference?
I like the way you translate the business building way into the language of accountants and corporate speaking balance sheets. That's amazing. This shows actually your true expertise in speaking with the right language to the right people. And that's amazing. So why is the need to evolve as a business leader? And what is it brought by? And how that is communicated through your program, which is the Corporate Olympian?
Okay, so my Corporate Olympian was born, I did this about, I've amended it a few times, but about 5 years ago. When I did my research, I looked at bringing sport, I think I mentioned earlier, and management, business management, education together, and identified 7 key areas that a business would ever need, any business would ever need. And these 7 key areas, I formed it's called the DNA of champions underneath the Corporate Olympian, the DNA of a champion. And these 7 areas, the first one is about planning. The second one is speaking. The third one is coaching. The fourth one, and an important one, is presence as a leader. And the next one is looking at leading edge training. And being a mentor, looking at a master mentor machine. What is a master mentor machine? So each of these 7 areas, and I've just added one called the Prosperity Activator, because people were asking me, companies were asking me, do you do a program on well-being? So I've put a well-being program together based on my sports background, on how we have quality recovery in sport. How do athletes, and they've been doing this long before lockdown, how do athletes have quality recovery time? What is it they do when they're not on the track or in the pool, or like Andy Murray playing tennis? So a key to this well-being might be, I know you didn't ask me this, but this is really important. People talk about resilience in your business. And and resilience as a leader. And most of them have got it all wrong. I'll say that, yes, they've got it all wrong. Resilience is not working 24/7. Resilience increases by having more daily quality recovery time. That is an absolute, that is paramount. The more time out you have daily, you will build your body, your mind, your soul, your thinking, your creativity will come in less than a week. If you keep working and you don't have quality recovery time, then you're limited in your business ideas. Does that make sense to you?
It makes a perfect sense, because I do allocate myself daydreaming moments when I totally vacate myself. You know, other people achieve it through meditation or just doing nothing. Or sometimes I procrastinate, literally and on purpose. I procrastinate because during the procrastination process, I actually come up with my new ideas. That's my, in a way, daydreaming, but not being flopped on a bed or anything. And I totally agree with you that people have to learn to switch off the working process in order to give themselves the space to float above.
Yes.
And pick up new. Yeah, that's the way I experience it, and this is what I also ask my clients to do. But
can I just add to that?
Yes.
Can I add to that? That's really important for the listeners. Is some people just have quality, time out on a Saturday or a Sunday because they're very busy all week. My action for them today would be to plan in time out on a daily basis, whether that's 30 minutes walking with nature, 30 minutes sitting in a park, 30 minutes sitting listening to something on your headphones, because your brain recognises it as a new habit. And one of the programs I do is what makes extraordinary people, which is in the leadership program. Laser leadership ambassadors are created by having quality recovery time out. Like Andy Murray, the tennis player, wouldn't be able to be world class if he trained every day from 6 in the morning to 6 at night. His body would go, which actually it did, but his body would go, his joints would go, his shoulders would go, he'd have sore feet, his mind would be very different. Now, because he has sessions out every day, that's a time for your body, your brain, and everything about what you do to recover. And that's a key aspect, I think, for the people listening to this going forward.
And this is the 7th area that you expanded in your corporate Olympian program, isn't it?
Yes, it's the 8th area. I had 7.
This is the 8th area, yeah.
I think that happened because when I was working in corporate or online, they were saying to me, we've got staff right now that are furloughed, we've got staff who, when we're asking them to come back, there's this anxiety, there's this, not a word I often use, but there's this feeling. And so I think I had, with some of my one-to-one clients, been using a program of quality recovery, which starts with, I guess it's how you think, how you have quality recovery, how you breathe, a whole exercise on breathing. The breathing, for most of us, and sometimes we do this, we breathe to our collarbone. And that is not helpful to feel good. You've got to breathe from your diaphragm. And there is a series of exercises that can help to expand the lungs.
It's also amazing, and all that the listeners can find on your website. They can link with you, they can see the programs there, and they can follow some of your programs which are so transformational. It is amazing. And you've put all your life efforts into combining experience or your knowledge as a sports person into the business and passing it on to other people. And that's amazing. To have another chat with you, or maybe get on with someone else and have a 3-way conversation.
Yes, I often say things that are not politically correct, and I think, oops.
Politically correct. Okay, we need to, we need to think about this. But before we end this show, I would like to ask you what one or two or three specific tips of wisdom from your vast experience in life and business would you share to inspire a business leader, a business owner, a brave, possibly startup, or a passionate entrepreneur who are listening to us right now?
The very first thing I would say, and this is, some people have to reflect on this big time, the most profitable skill in the business world today is speaking.
The most profitable skill
In the business
making is speaking. I love that.
And the thing is that without being able to communicate who you are and your business, it's very, very difficult. The second thing which I speak about a lot is, how can you go from being an expert or be extraordinary and thinking like a master? So, start thinking like you're a master of what you do.
Thinking like a master. I like that.
Thinking like a master. And perhaps the third one that I would probably start to think about is, look at yourself and do something different every day for a week. Something different in your language, something different in how you think, a different way of looking for results. And that is all linked to having a great emotional state. So I guess simplifying that is, you get a great emotional state by thinking differently, having a different language, doing things in a different way, and looking for results in a different way. And build your personal energy. I guess you only asked me for 3, but the fourth thing I would say right now is, and this is important, build your visibility and build your creativity by going on camera. We've had this discussion, I know.
Yeah.
And if you can go on camera, you will build your credibility. You will get more exposure, and you will start to go global.
That's brilliant. Sheena, thank you so much. We are at the end of our show, and your wisdom is amazing, and all these insights that you've passed and shared today here, they will serve our listeners to hopefully take on the road to empower the conscious business evolution and apply all the things that we are striving as a humanity to evolve. So at the end of our show, thank you, Sheena, for joining me in. It was a great pleasure to have you today. And this is all. I hope you enjoyed Sheena sitting at that show today. And I hope our listeners are inspired by our conversations to help them make their own steps to evolve as a conscious business, conscious leaders, by making choices for the benefit of people, communities and environment. So if you have questions or would like to come to the show, please write to Antonina at visionsinspire.com. But definitely tune in my next show for more inspiration on being part of our conscious business evolution. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
And that was your inspiration to continue empowering your conscious business evolution today. I hope you enjoyed the show, and I hope our conversations will help you take your own steps toward innovating and evolving as a conscious business by making choices for the benefit of people, communities, and environment. If you have any questions to my guests, I will leave their contact details in the description of this post. If you would like to come to the show and share your wisdom, you're more than welcome. Please write to me to antonina@visionsinspire.com. But definitely have a listen to all previous interviews and do subscribe to the Visions Inspire YouTube channel for my next show for more inspiration on being part of our conscious business evolution together. Please give Visions Inspire your like on Facebook and follow on Twitter and Instagram. And do share with others to listen, spread the word, grow the knowledge. That's the spirit of the conscious business evolution. Till next time, from me, Antonina Manev, your business growth strategist, turning visions into profitable businesses, and always here to empower the conscious business evolution. Thank you, and till next time.